You are listening to Return to Her Wolf, written by Deanne Leo, narrated by Jessica Lee. Jade's been hiding in a nowhere fishing town for 2 years. No past, no questions. Just hot jam donuts and a teacup Yorkie with a security obsession. Her escape ended when she backed her donut truck into the wrong motorcycle, a custom Harley-Davidson belonging to the most dangerous alpha wolf in the region. When the past Jade's been running from rises from the deep, Axel will discover that some bonds are strong enough to break curses, and some mates are worth fighting the sea itself to keep. One collision, 2 broken souls, and a talking dog who thinks Tank is a perfectly reasonable name for a 7-inch Yorkie. This is an original story written exclusively for you, the audience of this channel. If you love heartwarming shifter romances with humor, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Your engagement is what keeps these stories coming. Want to see your story idea come to life? Comment below with your favorite tropes, meet-cutes, or sidekick ideas. Deanne Leo reads every single one, and your idea might be the next story you hear. And because so many of you asked, you can now grab the premium ad-free and offline version of this story by sponsoring it. Plus, there's a free exclusive bonus chapter waiting for you. All links are in the description and pinned in the first comment. Looking for more stories? Head over to happynovels.com where you'll find the complete collection in one spot. Now let's dive in. Chapter 1. The bills smelled like fryer oil and possibility. Jade counted them twice on the stainless steel counter, her fingers moving through the worn 20s and 10s in the pre-dawn darkness. $243. The paper was soft from handling, grease-stained at the edges. She pressed them flat, the familiar texture grounding her. Add that to the coffee can under her cot, and she had, "This is a terrible idea," Tank announced from his perch on the cup dispenser. The tiny Yorkie sat with perfect posture, his dark eyes reflecting the truck's interior lights. His ears, disproportionately large for his teacup frame, swiveled toward the windshield, tracking sounds she couldn't hear yet. "We're 2 hours early," he continued. 2 hours. Do you understand what that does to our security protocols? We've maintained a consistent 6-to-6 operational schedule for 8 months. Deviation creates vulnerability. Jade tucked the bills into her apron pocket. The fabric was worn thin, soft against her fingertips. "It means we catch the early commuters. 10% increase in revenue. 1 more week like this and I have the deposit. Nobody in their right mind wants hot jam donuts for breakfast at 6 in the morning." Tank's tail twitched once, a tell she'd learned to read as deep concern masked by professionalism. Jade pulled the first batch of dough from the mini-fridge. Cold air rushed out, carrying the yeast-sweet smell of tomorrow's inventory. "You never know. Maybe there's a market for pre-dawn carbs." "The studio plan is fundamentally unsound." Tank shifted his weight, toenails clicking against the metal dispenser. "That space isn't fit for professional recording without serious renovation capital. The acoustics alone would require, I'll live there first." Jade set the dough on the counter, the surface cool under her palms. "Keep a roof over my head. Then renovate. Baby steps." "Ah," Tank's ears perked forward. "That's actually sensible resource allocation. Maslow's hierarchy addressed before professional infrastructure." "Glad you approve." Jade wiped her hands on her apron, leaving faint flour streaks. "I could contribute revenue streams." Tank sat taller, despite being barely 7 inches at the shoulder. "Security consulting has strong profit margins in the current market. My risk assessment skills are highly transferable." The words landed softer than they should have. Jade's chest tightened. She focused on organizing her workspace. Sugar here, cinnamon there, everything in its place. "Your company is invaluable to me. You're not a working pup." Silence, the dangerous kind. "Pup?" Tank's voice dropped an octave. "Are you referring to my size? Because I'll have you know, dog, working dog." Jade grabbed a clean towel, her knuckles white around the fabric. Heat crept up her neck. "I don't want you working for people who don't appreciate you, who'd treat you like—" She stopped, swallowed. "You're not going anywhere. That's what I meant." 3 seconds of silence. Tank's tail did a single pleased wag. "That's acceptable, but I'll still find ways to contribute. Digital consulting, perhaps. remote security audits. He turned toward the windshield, though the interior lights turned the glass into a mirror. This whole starting 2 hours early in the dark thing is still a terrible security decision, for the record. Noted. Jade grabbed her keys from the hook by the service window. I'm going to back into my spot. Need to be positioned for the morning rush. In the dark, Tank said. In the dark, Jade agreed. She climbed into the driver's seat. The vinyl was cold through her jeans, the steering wheel even colder. The engine turned over on the second try. It always took 2, and rumbled to life. The whole truck vibrated, familiar and reliable despite being held together with hope and duct tape. Jade checked her mirrors out of habit, though the darkness made them mostly useless. She'd parked in this spot every day for 2 years, knew every crack in the pavement, every angle, could do it blind. She shifted into reverse. Metal screamed against metal. The truck lurched. Jade's hips slammed into the doorframe. The steering wheel jerked in her hands. She slammed the brake, her heart suddenly in her throat, adrenaline flooding her system with metallic taste. Collision, Tank barked. Rear impact. This is exactly what I was talking about. Jade killed the engine. Her hand shook on the wheel. The sound, that horrible screaming crunch, echoed in her ears. She shoved the door open and dropped to the pavement. The asphalt was cold and gritty under her sneakers. Dawn was still an hour away, the parking lot lights casting everything in sickly yellow. Her truck's back bumper had crumpled around something low and chrome, and definitely not supposed to be there. Something that gleamed even in the weak light, all black paint and silver detail and custom leather seats and, oh no! The words came out thin. Jade pressed both hands to her face, the vinyl smell of her work gloves sharp in her nose. Oh no, oh no, oh, it's not a motorbike, Tank said from somewhere above her. She looked up. He'd positioned himself in the service window, silhouetted against the interior lights. It's a Harley-Davidson, he continued. Completely different classification. Harley-Davidson Softail, custom paint job, approximately 40 to 60,000 in modifications based on the exhaust system, and how do you even know that? Jade stared at him. I've been watching Sons of Anarchy during your sleep cycle, Tank said. Very informative regarding motorcycle club hierarchies, territorial disputes, and vehicle specifications. Also, the dramatic irony is quite sophisticated for... A door slammed. The sound cracked through the parking lot. Jade spun. The man striding toward them from the motel looked like every mistake she'd ever almost made, concentrated into 6-foot-something of leather jacket and controlled fury. Dark hair fell across his forehead, slightly too long. His face was all hard angles and dangerous beauty, the kind that made smart women make stupid choices. He moved like violence barely contained, each step measured and deliberate. Her pulse kicked into her throat. You hit my vehicle. His voice matched the rest of him. Rough whiskey over gravel, low and dark. Professional. Stay professional. Jade lifted her chin. You parked in my slot. He stopped 3 feet away. Close enough she caught his scent. Leather and road dust and something else. Something that made her wolf whine in her chest. His eyes were amber, bright even in the dim light, and they catalogued her with uncomfortable precision. Your slot? He raised one eyebrow. This is a public parking lot. I park here every day, Jade said. She crossed her arms, a barrier between them and the way her skin felt too tight. Have for 2 years, same spot, same time. That doesn't make it yours. He gestured toward the motel behind them, the movement economical. No wasted energy. Management said this was my spot, paid for it. They probably meant car park, as in parking for cars. Jade pointed at his bike. If that was a car, I would have seen it in my mirrors. Can't exactly see a bike in the dark. It's not a bike. The words came in stereo. 2 voices, one from him and the other from Tank. The man's head snapped up. His gaze tracked the parking lot, the truck, the empty spaces, looking for the second speaker. Tank hopped from the window to the truck's hood with a metallic thunk, then up to the roof, his nails scraping for purchase before he found his footing. It's a Harley-Davidson, Tank said. The man stared, at Tank, at Jade, at the battered food truck with its hand-painted Jade's Donuts sign and rust spots blooming along the bottom panels. You run a food truck, he said slowly, At the back of a motel, in a corner nobody can see. His gaze returned to Tank. And you have a talking dog. The name is Tank, the Yorkie said. He sat at perfect attention, spine straight. Former guide dog candidate, current security consultant specializing in risk assessment, threat analysis, and operational protocol management. I also hold certifications in, he's a teacup Yorkie who watches too much television, Jade cut in, and I have a business license for this location. Check with the city if you want. She moved around the bike, crouching to assess the damage. The chrome was scraped, deep gouges through the custom finish. The back fender had a significant dent, but nothing looked broken or leaking or totaled. Small mercies. I'll pay for repairs. She stood, wiping her palms on her apron, though they weren't dirty. The fabric absorbed the nervous sweat. I don't have cash right now, but I can compensate you in donuts until... No need. The man pulled out his phone, the screen brightness harsh against his face. I'll call my beta. He can deal with it. His beta. The word hit different than it should have. Beta meant pack. Pack meant alpha. Alpha meant... Jade's wolf pushed harder against her ribs, interested and hungry, in a way that made her want to climb back in the truck and drive until the feeling stopped. Except her truck was currently attached to his bike. Let me just... Jade headed for her driver's door. I'll move the truck forward so you can assess the... A hiss cut through the air. Quiet. Wrong. The man's hand closed around her wrist. His skin was warm, calloused. The touch sent electricity up her arm. Don't move. What? He pulled her backward. His other arm came around her waist, solid and sure, and her wolf practically purred at the contact. Liquid dripped from her truck's undercarriage onto the pavement, dark and spreading. The smell hit, sharp chemicals, gasoline, something acrid that made her eyes water. A spark. Down. He pushed her to the ground and covered her with his body. The world went white and hot and loud. Jade hit pavement. The impact drove the air from her lungs. The man's body covered hers immediately, his weight solid and shielding. His jacket pressed rough against her cheek, leather and warmth and protection. Something whistled through the air above them, shrapnel, debris, pieces of her life. Metal pinged off brick, glass shattered. The heat rolled over them in waves, pushing and pulling like breath. Her truck, 2 years of savings, her entire business, everything she'd built alone. Burning. Stay down, the man said against her ear. His breath was warm. His heart hammered against her shoulder blade, fast and hard and human, too human. The realization cut through the shock. She should feel his wolf this close. Should sense the animal beneath his skin, the other half that made shifters whole. But there was nothing. Just man, just muscle and bone and the copper-bright smell of, "You're bleeding." Jade twisted beneath him. "Don't!" His protest died as she got her hands between them, finding the gash above his temple. Blood ran down the side of his face, dark against his skin. A piece of debris had caught him, small, sharp, lucky it hadn't been worse. "You're bleeding!" Tank's voice cracked with panic. "Jade, the Alpha is bleeding. This is a critical security incident. I need to... Where's my phone? Does anyone here know first aid because I have theoretical knowledge but no practical application experience and... Tank." Jade pressed her apron hem against the wound. The fabric came away red. The man winced but didn't pull back. "Breathe. Count to 10. Use your training." "I don't need to breathe. I need to assess the situation and establish a perimeter and..." Tank. 10 seconds. Now." Silence. Then Tank started counting, his voice small and tight. The man's phone buzzed against Jade's hip where it was trapped between them. He ignored it. His gaze locked on her face, amber eyes intense and searching in the firelight. "You okay?" His voice had gone rough, raw around the edges. "I'm okay, but my truck exploded," Jade said. "I noticed." "My studio's gone." Her throat closed. The words stuck. $243 in her pocket. Not even enough to fix his bike, let alone replace her truck. He looked at the truck. "A donut studio?" She shook her head. "Long story. But it seems I can't pay for your Harley's fix even with donuts now." He chuckled, the sound low and rough. You can pay me later. Compounding interest. Upgrade from donuts to proper meals. Fair. She looked at his face. Handsome. Fierce. The face of an alpha. But there was some underlying shade of darkness she couldn't quite place. Of course, an alpha riding a motorcycle he refused to call a bike, staying in a motel in the middle of nowhere by himself, would have some darkness in his life. But still, despite the darkness, she felt safe standing next to him while her life exploded into uncertainty she'd never had to face before. She smiled. Jade. He smiled back. Axel. Time for real breakfast? My shout this time. Chapter 2. Axel pressed the ice pack against his temple and watched the food truck burn. The paramedics had cleared him. Minor laceration, possible concussion, refusing transport. Standard protocol when you couldn't explain why a head wound was already half healed. The EMTs had given up after his third refusal and moved on to checking the woman sitting on the back of their rig, Jade. She looked smaller without the apron and attitude, her dark hair escaping its ponytail, ash streaking her cheek. The teacup Yorkie sat in her lap, still narrating the incident to anyone who'd listen. Fuel line rupture on impact, followed by electrical spark from damaged wiring. Classic cascade failure. I told her starting early disrupted our security protocols. Axel's phone buzzed. Fourth time in 10 minutes. He stepped away from the emergency vehicles, the pre-dawn air cold against his face. The number on screen made his jaw tight. He answered. Rob? Oh, so your phone does work. His beta's voice carried that particular edge that meant Axel was in trouble. Interesting. Because yesterday you left in the middle of a territorial dispute with the Riverside Pack, turned your phone off, and disappeared. Care to explain? I'm in Tidemark Cove. Silence. 3 seconds of it. I'm sorry, Rob said. Did you just say Tidemark Cove? As in the nowhere fishing town with 1 road in and 300 residents? That Tidemark Cove? That's the one. Axel watched flames lick through the food truck's roof. The fire department had given up saving it, focusing on containment now. Why? Rob's confusion was almost funny. What could possibly be in Tidemark Cove that requires the Alpha's personal attention? New investment, expansion opportunity. The lie came smooth. He'd been practicing lies for 6 months now, ever since his wolf went quiet. Thought I'd assess the territory personally. Bullshit, Rob didn't sound convinced. You don't personally assess anything under $10 million in potential revenue. What's really going on? Axel pressed the ice pack harder against his temple. The cold helped him think. There's been an accident. What kind of accident? The vehicular kind. Axel looked at his bike, or what was left of it. Chrome twisted, paint scorched, custom leather seats melted into abstract art. Seems my Harley is a casualty. Another beat of silence. Then Rob started laughing. Actually laughing. Your bike? Rob managed between chuckles. Your custom $70,000 baby that you won't let anyone else touch? That bike? Yes, that bike. How? Rob was still laughing. Did you crash it? You never crash. You're the most careful rider I know. It's actually annoying how careful you are. I didn't crash it. Axel watched Jade across the parking lot. She was gesturing at the burning truck, explaining something to the fire chief. Even covered in ash, her hands moved with precision. Someone backed into it. Someone backed into your parked Harley? Rob's laughter died. Who? I'll have them. A food truck, Axel said. Silence. The dangerous kind this time. A food truck, Rob repeated slowly. You're telling me your $70,000 custom Harley-Davidson got taken out by a food truck? Hot jam donuts, to be specific. Axel couldn't help the slight smile pulling at his mouth. She runs a hot jam donut operation out of the back of a motel parking lot. Had the spot for 2 years. Didn't appreciate me parking in it. She. Rob's tone shifted, went sharp with interest. The food truck is a she? The driver is a she. The truck is currently a fireball. Axel gestured at the scene behind him, though Rob couldn't see it. Smoke rose in black columns, acrid and chemical sharp. After she backed into my bike, her fuel line ruptured. Whole thing went up maybe 5 minutes later. Holy! Rob stopped. When he spoke again, his voice had gone flat. professional. You were near it when it exploded? Under it, technically. Axel touched the wound on his head, felt the sting even through the ice. Got her clear, took some minor damage. Define minor. Can't explain to paramedics why my head wound healed before they finished their diagnosis. Rob swore, low and creative. They'll talk. You need me there. I'm leaving now. I need you to assess the town, Axel said, but keep it low profile. Don't bring the full security detail. I'm bringing at least one member. Rob's tone left no room for argument. You're alone in unfamiliar territory with a head wound and no transportation. That's non-negotiable. Fine, bring Sam. Sam was quiet, observant, and wouldn't ask questions Axel didn't want to answer. But check the weather first. Forecast says the road might be cut off tonight. High tide. You picked a town that can be islanded? Rob sounded incredulous. What kind of expansion opportunity requires... He stopped. Understanding crept into his voice. This isn't about expansion, is it? Axel didn't answer immediately. A fire truck's radio crackled nearby. Jade was standing now, tank still in her arms, watching 2 years of work disappear into smoke. Just get here, Axel said quietly. We'll talk then. How's the pack situation? Rob asked. Anyone sniffing around for your location? There it was, the question Axel had been avoiding. Riverside was making noise yesterday, Axel said. Nothing concrete, just posturing. Posturing? Rob didn't sound convinced. They've been circling for weeks, ever since... He stopped. Neither of them needed to say it. Ever since Axel's wolf went quiet. Ever since the alpha became just a man. You sure disappearing to a town that can be cut off from the mainland is smart right now? No, Axel admitted. But I'm here anyway. Because of the expansion opportunity, Rob said dryly. Because of the expansion opportunity, Axel agreed. And the food truck woman has nothing to do with this decision. Axel looked across the parking lot. Jade had set Tank down. The Yorkie was pacing the perimeter of the scene, apparently conducting his own investigation. She stood alone, arms wrapped around herself, watching 2 years of work disappear into smoke and ash. Get here early, Axel said instead of answering. Before the road cuts off. And Rob? Yeah? Bring cash. I think I'm about to make an investment in the donut industry. Rob groaned. You're buying her a truck? She did take out my Harley. Seems fair she compensates me with baked goods. Axel smiled despite himself. Compounding interest. Could take years to pay off. You're insane, Rob said. Head wound must be worse than you're admitting. Probably, Axel agreed. See you in a few hours. He ended the call before Rob could ask more questions. The fire chief was wrapping up, the flames mostly contained now. The food truck was a skeleton, blackened metal and melted dreams, smoke still rising in thin wisps. Jade stood 15 feet away, Tank at her feet, both of them watching. She had nowhere to go. No truck meant no business, meant no income, meant no studio, whatever that meant. And his bike needed parts that would take weeks to arrive in a town this small. They were both stuck. Axel pocketed his phone and walked toward her. She didn't turn, but Tank's ears swiveled in his direction. My beta's coming, Axel said when he reached her side. He'll be here before the tide comes in. The tide? Jade glanced at him, eyebrows raised. You didn't mention you live on a tidal island. Axel gestured toward the road leading out of town. Dawn was creeping closer, painting the horizon pale gray. One way in, one way out, and it disappears twice a day. You didn't ask. She turned back to the smoking remains. Besides, you said you were just passing through, figured you'd be gone by morning. About that. Axel watched the fire chief pack up equipment, the sounds of metal clanking against metal. Seems my Harley needs parts. Custom job. Could take weeks. Weeks? She looked at him properly now, her gray eyes searching his face. You're stuck here for weeks? We're both stuck. He met her gaze. Storm gray. Interesting. You've got no truck. I've got no bike. Seems like we could help each other out. Help each other how? She crossed her arms, defensive. Tank sat on her foot, a tiny, furry guardian. You need to make money, Axel said. I need to eat. My beta needs to eat, possibly other pack members if they decide to visit. He kept his tone casual, businesslike. I'm proposing a temporary arrangement. You want me to cook for you? Her tone was flat. I want to hire you to cook for me. Axel pulled out his wallet, the leather worn smooth from years in his pocket. Whatever you made in a week with the truck, I'll double it. You cook, I pay, everyone's happy. She stared at him. Why? Because I'm hungry? Axel offered. And apparently the only restaurant in Tidemark Cove is Sal's Diner, which Tank has already informed me has questionable hygiene ratings and insufficient protocols regarding cross-contamination. Sal's is a 3-star establishment at best, Tank piped up from below. I've analyzed their Yelp reviews. 17 mentions of greasy, 9 complaints about cold food, and 1 concerning reference to mystery meat. The health inspection report from last year cited. Tank, Jade said. I'm providing relevant data, Tank said, affronted. That got almost a smile from her. Almost. Where would I cook? She asked. My kitchen just melted. Motel has kitchenettes. Axel gestured toward the building behind them. I've got one, you can use it. In your room, she raised one eyebrow. In the kitchenette of my room. He kept his expression neutral. Or I can ask around, see if there's commercial kitchen space available. Your choice. Tank stood up on his hind legs, front paws braced against Jade's shin. I need to conduct a security assessment of any proposed workspace. Standard protocol. I'll need to evaluate entry points, emergency exits, fire suppression systems, and... He paused. Actually, given recent events, the fire suppression systems are critical. Of course, Axel said seriously to the dog. I'd expect nothing less. Jade bit her lip. The gesture was small, vulnerable, made her look younger than the sass suggested. Why are you really here? She asked quietly. This town doesn't have anything worth a Pack Alpha's time. Smart, too smart. Maybe I'm diversifying, Axel said. Into fish and chips to-go packs ready for large retail distribution in the main cities? She tilted her head. Because as far as I know, what this town makes won't be enough to pay for your lunches. He smiled. She had a point. Strategic expansion into underserved markets. He kept his tone light. Besides, you're wrong about the town. It has potential. What kind of potential? You, Axel thought, but that was insane. He'd known her for less than an hour, most of which had been spent either arguing or on fire. Tourism, exclusive resort, the sort of place people can veg out and forget the world. She locked eyes with him. Is that why you're here? Vegging out? He nodded. He could lie. If this was a passing moment to a total stranger, he could lie. But for reasons he didn't understand, even without his wolf howling its feelings at him, he didn't think this was a passing moment. Jade smiled, and the expression transformed her face. That actually makes sense. If you want a busy lifestyle, you wouldn't be here. People don't actually work here. They live here for tranquility, then they drive out and work in the city. Is that what you're after? Tranquility? He studied her. Because you don't look like a local. What do you mean? She furrowed her eyebrows. Just have that vibe. I don't think you were born here, despite the fact you like what the town has to offer. Enough to stick around for 2 years. She nodded slowly. You're quite right. And you look like you want to get out before the next tide cuts off the road. So what I like here is irrelevant. Too soon. He chuckled to himself. Yes, this is temporary for me. He wanted to add that everything in his life felt temporary and short-term at the moment. But that would complicate things, so he said nothing further. What do you think about the food arrangement? He asked instead. She looked at the smoking truck, at Tank, at him. Okay, she said finally, but I picked the menu. Deal. Axel offered his hand. She took it. Her grip was firm, her palm warm against his. The touch sent electricity up his arm, sharp and bright and completely inappropriate for a business arrangement. She felt it too. He saw it in the way her breath caught, the slight widening of her eyes. Jade, she said. Axel, he replied, though she already knew. Let's get breakfast. Chapter 3. Sal's diner smelled like decades of bacon grease and coffee that had been sitting too long on the burner. Jade pushed through the glass door, the bell above jingling. The interior was exactly what she'd expected. Red vinyl booths, checkered floor tiles, laminated menus sticky with syrup. A handful of early risers sat scattered at the counter, fishermen mostly, judging by their rubber boots and weathered hands. Behind the counter, Maggie looked up and her entire face lit up. "Jade! Oh, honey, I heard about the truck. Come here." Before Jade could protest, Maggie had rounded the counter and pulled her into a hug. The woman smelled like vanilla extract and dish soap, familiar and grounding. "I'm okay," Jade said into Maggie's shoulder. "Of course you're okay. You're always okay." Maggie pulled back, her hands on Jade's shoulders. Then her gaze shifted to Axel, standing just inside the door. "And who's this?" "Axel." He offered his hand. "I'm the one whose bike she hit." "Oh, you're the Harley." Maggie shook his hand, her grip firm despite being half his size. "Heard about that too. News travels fast around here." "Jade, honey, you okay?" "Really okay?" "Really okay," Jade said. The lie came easy. She'd been practicing it for years. "Well, sit." Maggie gestured toward a booth by the window. "I'll get you both coffee. And Tank." She looked down at the Yorkie trotting beside Jade. "Your usual sweetheart?" "If it's not too much trouble," Tank said. His tail wagged once. "I trust your kitchen more than most establishments in this region." High praise from the toughest critic in Tidemark Cove. Maggie grinned and headed back behind the counter. Jade slid into the booth, the vinyl cold through her jeans. Axel took the seat across from her, his leather jacket creaking as he settled. Tank hopped up beside Jade, positioning himself where he could see the entire diner. "Security assessment," Tank murmured. 2 exits, front door and kitchen. Windows are standard single pane, easily compromised. Customer to square footage ratio suggests, "Tank," Jade said, "just doing my job." Maggie returned with 2 mugs of coffee and a small plate of scrambled eggs. She set the plate in front of Tank with the reverence usually reserved for fine dining. "There you go, Tank. Free range, organic, exactly how you like them." Tank sniffed the eggs carefully. "Temperature is optimal. Texture appears consistent. I appreciate your attention to detail, Maggie." "Any time, honey." Maggie pulled out her order pad. "Now, what can I get you to?" "Actually," Jade started, but Maggie was already shaking her head. "Jade, I'm going to be straight with you. Our cook quit last week. Moved to the city for better pay. I've been doing breakfast myself, but I'm no chef. Lunch and dinner? Forget it. I'm serving sandwiches and calling it a day." "I'm sorry, Maggie. That's rough. Here's the thing." Maggie leaned against the booth, her pen tapping against her pad. "If you want to use my kitchen, I'm all for it. You make real food. Good food. Better than anything this town's seen since that fancy restaurant closed 3 years ago." Jade's chest tightened. "That's really generous, but this is just a temporary arrangement. I understand," Axel said. His voice was calm, matter-of-fact. "But temporary doesn't mean it can't be mutually beneficial." Maggie looked between them, one eyebrow raised. "Temporary arrangement, huh?" "He's hiring me to cook while his bike gets fixed," Jade said quickly. Heat crept up her neck. "Business arrangement." "Right." Maggie's smile suggested she didn't believe that for a second. "Well, the offer stands. Kitchen's yours if you want it. Better than that motel kitchenette, I'd imagine." "I'll think about it," Jade said. "You do that." Maggie straightened. "Now what'll it be?" "Pancakes," Jade said. "And bacon. Actual bacon, not whatever mystery meat you usually serve." "Hey, my mystery meat has character." Maggie wrote it down. "And you, Harley?" "Same," Axel said. "And Maggie? Thank you for the offer. About the kitchen." "Don't thank me. Thank Jade if she says yes." Maggie headed back toward the kitchen, calling over her shoulder, "And Tank? You tell Jade to stop being stubborn about accepting help." Tank looked up from his eggs. "That would violate my operational parameters. Jade makes her own decisions." "Diplomatic," Axel said. "I'm trained in conflict de-escalation," Tank said seriously. "Also, these eggs are exceptional." Jade wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. The ceramic was warm, grounding. Around them, the diner hummed with quiet conversation. Old Tom at the counter was arguing about fishing spots with Pete. Linda was reading the newspaper, her reading glasses perched on her nose. Normal. Peaceful. She'd never quite felt like she belonged here, but moments like this, Maggie's hug, Tank's eggs, the easy rhythm of small-town morning, made her wonder what it would be like if she did. "So," Axel said, pulling her back, "you mentioned you'd give me a tour of the town." "It's not much of a town," Jade said. "I've got time. It's walkable, the whole thing. You can see everything in 20 minutes. "Perfect." He smiled, and the expression changed his face completely. Made him look younger, less dangerous. "I've got 20 minutes. Tidemark Cove was exactly as advertised, small, quiet, and built around a harbor that had seen better days. Jade led Axel down Main Street, which was generous calling it a street. More like a stretch of asphalt with buildings on either side. The post office, the general store, the bait shop that doubled as a convenience store. "That's where you get everything," Jade said, pointing at the general store. "Groceries, hardware, gossip. Mrs. Patterson runs it. She knows everyone's business before they do." "Useful," Axel said. "Terrifying," Jade corrected. Tank trotted between them, his head swiveling as he conducted his own assessment. They passed the library, a converted house with peeling paint and a sign that said, "Open Tuesdays and Thursdays." The community center, the tackle shop. "You weren't kidding about walkable," Axel said. "Told you." Jade turned down a side street. "There's the school, K through 12, all in one building. 23 students total. That's not a school. That's a classroom. That's Tidemark Cove." She kept walking, leading him toward the water. The air changed as they got closer. Salt and seaweed and the wet wood smell of the docks. The coastline opened up before them, rocky and wild. Waves crashed against the stones, sending spray into the air. The sound was constant, rhythmic. Jade had spent hours here, listening to that rhythm, writing melodies in her head that she'd never sing aloud. She climbed onto a flat boulder, Tank scrambling up beside her. Axel followed, moving with surprising grace for someone his size. From here she could see it. The small building perched on the cliff edge, windows dark, paint faded. It wasn't much, barely more than a shack, really. But the view was perfect. The acoustics would be incredible. The isolation complete. "That's it," she said quietly. "The studio I wanted." Axel followed her gaze. The building? It was a weather station. Abandoned for years. Owner was selling cheap because nobody wants property that far from town. She wrapped her arms around herself. The wind off the water was cold, biting. Perfect for recording. No neighbors to complain about noise. Natural sound dampening from the cliff walls. "Was?" Axel asked. "My deposit was in the truck," Jade said. "All of it. 3 more weeks and I would have had enough." She laughed, but it came out wrong. Guess the universe had other plans. "I'm sorry," Axel said. He sounded like he meant it. "It's just a building." Jade turned away from the view. Plenty of other buildings. "That's not just about the building, though, is it?" Tank said from beside her. His voice had gone soft, careful. "It's about the music." "Tank," Jade started. "She's a songwriter," Tank announced to Axel. "Incredibly talented. Writes beautiful compositions. Has notebooks full of them. Never shares them with anyone except me. And I have to sneak looks because she won't even—" "Tank, that's enough." "It's not enough. You have gifts, Jade. Real gifts. And you hide them because you think—" "I said that's enough." Jade's voice came out sharper than intended. Tank's ears went back. He looked at his paws. Axel was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was careful. "Where's your place? Where do you live?" Jade gestured vaguely behind them. "Went up in smoke." "What?" "The truck was my place." She kept her gaze on the ocean, easier than looking at him. "I lived in it. Slept in it, worked in it. Everything I owned was in it." "Jesus." Axel moved closer. She could feel his presence, solid and warm beside her. "Jade, it's fine. I'll figure it out. I always figure it out. Stay at the motel." He said it like it was decided. "Until we get things sorted. I can't—" "You can, you will." His voice left no room for argument. "I'm not leaving you without a place to sleep." "I don't take charity," Jade said. "It's not charity, it's logistics." He crossed his arms. "You're cooking for me. You need somewhere to cook from. The motel has kitchenettes. Makes sense." "I'll pay for my own room," Jade said. "Use the money you're paying me for meals." Deal. Just for a couple nights. However long you need. She finally looked at him. His amber eyes were serious, no trace of pity, just pragmatism, business, that she could handle. Okay, she said. Thank you. Don't thank me. You're doing me a favor. He glanced back toward town. What else should I see? There's one more place, Jade said, if you're interested in music. Coastal Notes sat wedged between the post office and an art gallery that was never open. The windows displayed guitars, keyboards, sheet music, and a collection of vintage vinyl that changed every week. The bell chimed as Jade pushed open the door. The interior smelled like wood polish and old paper, the particular scent of instruments that had been played and loved. Jade! A woman emerged from behind the counter, her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, paint-stained overalls suggesting she'd come from the art gallery next door. Oh my God, I heard about the truck. Are you okay? I'm fine, Mira. Jade accepted the hug, breathing in Mira's familiar lavender perfume. This is Axel. Axel, Mira. She runs this place. And the gallery next door, Mira said, shaking Axel's hand. Her grip was firm, her smile bright and genuine. And occasionally I help my mom at the diner, multitasking champion of Tidemark Cove. She studied Axel with open curiosity. You're the Harley guy. Word really does travel fast here, Axel said. Population 300. Everyone knows everything by breakfast. Mira turned back to Jade, her expression shifting to concern. Seriously, though, are you okay? That's everything. Your whole life was in that truck. I'll rebuild, Jade said. The lie was getting easier each time she said it, smoother on her tongue. You should come stay with me. Mira leaned against the counter, her voice gentle but insistent. I've got a spare room in the city. We could drive in together every morning, drive back every night. You could finally get away from this island, get your studio set up somewhere with actual opportunities. Aren't you sharing that apartment with Nick? Jade asked. My little brother flew the nest yesterday. Mira's smile was fond, touched with sadness. He's staying in Flowerdale now. He got into Flowerdale College. Jade's face lit up. Mira, that's incredible. I know, he's over the moon about it. Mira's voice softened. But he did say he'll never find donuts like yours anywhere else. He's going to miss them, miss you. He deserves it. He's so bright. Jade turned toward Axel. Mira's brother has played piano since he was 5, incredibly talented. Axel pulled a business card from his wallet and set it on the counter. I have business in Flowerdale. If he needs anything there, work, connections, whatever, tell him to call me. Mira picked up the card, her eyebrows rising as she read it. Oh, that's really generous. Thank you. I'll make sure he doesn't abuse it. No abuse, just help if he needs it. Axel's tone was casual, but Jade caught something underneath, the automatic protectiveness of an alpha extending territory. The offer stands for you too, Jade. Mira met her friend's eyes. Anytime you need me, you know where to find me. Jade nodded, her throat tight. Thanks. Mira moved toward the display of guitar picks, straightening them with practiced movements. She glanced at Axel. You play? No, Axel said, but I appreciate good music. Then you're in the right place. Jade's one of the most talented people I know. Mira's expression softened, went wistful. She just won't believe it. Mira, Jade started. I know, I'm pushing. Mira held up her hands in surrender. But seriously, think about the city option. You could work at my mom's other diner, or get studio session work, or... I'll think about it, Jade said. Tank sauntered out from the back room, his tiny legs carrying him with the confidence of someone 3 times his size. Security assessment complete. I approve of Mira's installation of the new deadbolt on the back door. However, the window locks are standard residential grade and should be upgraded to commercial specifications given the value of inventory. Also, someone left a half-eaten sandwich in the break room, which violates basic food safety protocols and could attract rodents. I've disposed of it. You ate Nick's lunch, didn't you? Mira said, fighting a smile. I secured a potential biohazard, Tank said with dignity. There's a difference. Jade pressed her hand to her mouth, trying not to laugh. We should head back, she said when she could trust her voice. Axel's beta is meeting us at the motel. Sure, Rob texted. He's about 20 minutes out. Axel moved toward the door. Let's go, Tank. Jade turned to leave. Tank sat on the counter and put on the most pitiful expression Jade had ever seen. Eyes wide, ears drooping, tiny body radiating tragic abandonment. Jade knew he was faking. He won every single time with that look, and he knew it. She sighed and opened her backpack. Tank's tragic expression vanished instantly as he hopped right in, settling among her few belongings like a prince claiming his throne. Victory, Tank said from inside the bag. Strategic emotional manipulation remains my most effective tool. You're terrible, Jade told him. I'm efficient, Tank corrected. Mira laughed. You two take care. And Jade? Think about what I said. I will, Jade promised. The walk back to the motel was quiet, comfortable. The sun had burned through the morning fog completely now, warming the air. Jade could hear the ocean in the distance, that constant rhythm she'd grown used to over 2 years. Axel walked beside her, his presence steady. Not pushing conversation, just there. It should have felt strange, walking with someone she'd only met hours ago. Instead, it felt natural. Right. Dangerous. They were 5 minutes from the motel when her phone buzzed. Jade pulled it from her pocket, surprised it still had battery. She'd forgotten to charge it last night, too focused on counting money and planning for the early morning shift that would never happen. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Ms. Voss? This is Officer Chen with Tidemark Cove Police. We've finished our preliminary investigation of your vehicle. Jade's steps slowed. Axel noticed immediately, his attention sharpening on her. Okay, she said carefully. Ma'am, I'm calling because our fire investigator found something concerning. Officer Chen's voice was professional, but she could hear the tension underneath. Your fuel line didn't rupture from impact. It was cut, deliberately. And there was an incendiary device attached to your electrical system. The words hit like cold water. Jade stopped walking completely. What? The word came out thin. Your truck was wired, Ms. Voss. The explosion wasn't an accident. Someone wanted that vehicle to burn. A pause. Do you have any idea who might want to harm you? Jade's hand tightened on the phone. Her vision narrowed to tunnel focus, the asphalt beneath her feet, the phone against her ear, the sudden roaring in her head. No, she managed. No, I don't. I can't think of anyone who... Axel's hand closed around her elbow, steadying. Grounding. We'd like you to come down to the station to answer some questions, Officer Chen continued. Nothing formal, just gathering information. Can you come by this afternoon? Yes, Jade said automatically. Yes, I'll be there. Thank you, Ms. Voss. We'll see you soon. The call ended. Jade lowered the phone, her hand shaking. She looked up at Axel. His amber eyes were dark, serious, already calculating. What is it? He asked quietly. The truck was wired, Jade said. Her voice sounded distant, disconnected. Someone cut the fuel line, planted an incendiary device. The explosion... She stopped, swallowed. It wasn't an accident. Jade met Axel's gaze and saw her own realization reflected back at her. It means, Axel said softly, his hand still steady on her arm, we need to figure out who tried to hurt you before they try again. Chapter 4. Rob's motorcycle pulled into the motel parking lot 30 seconds after Jade and Axel arrived. The timing was too perfect, almost cosmic. The rumble of the engine cut off abruptly, leaving sudden silence that felt too loud. Rob swung his leg over the bike and pulled off his helmet in one smooth motion. When he stood, he was a couple of inches shorter than Axel, broader through the shoulders, with close-cropped dark hair and the kind of face that suggested he smiled rarely, but meant it when he did. His gaze found Axel immediately, then shifted to Jade. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Assessment. Recognition of a situation he hadn't expected. Rob, Axel said. His hand was on the small of Jade's back, warm and steadying. He let go when Rob's attention tracked the movement. Sam is 10 minutes behind, boss. Rob's voice was gravelly, rough from years of wind and road noise. He moved toward them with economical grace, closing the distance in 4 strides. His boots crunched against gravel. You look like hell. Head wound, Axel said. among other things. Rob's attention shifted fully to Jade, cataloging her ash-streaked clothes, the exhaustion pulling at her features, the backpack she clutched like a lifeline. "You must be the food truck." "Jade," she corrected. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "And the food truck is currently a crime scene." Rob's eyebrows rose. "Crime scene?" "Someone wired it to explode," Axel said. His tone had gone flat, professional. Alpha voice. "Fire investigator just called. Fuel line was cut. Incendiary device on the electrical system. Deliberate." The parking lot went quiet. Even the seagulls seemed to pause mid-cry. The distant crash of waves against rocks suddenly felt too close, too threatening. Rob looked at Axel, a whole conversation happening in that single glance. Years of partnership compressed into one exchange. "You think it's—" "Don't know yet," Axel cut him off. His jaw tightened. "Police want her to come in for questioning this afternoon." "Small-town police?" Rob's tone made it clear what he thought of that. Rob and Axel exchanged another look. "We should go with you," Axel said, turning to Jade. "To the station." "I'll be fine," Jade started. "You'll be safer with us there." Axel's voice left no room for argument. His amber eyes had gone dark, focused. "Someone tried to kill you this morning. I'm not letting you walk into a police station alone." "Tried to kill you." The words hit like cold water. She'd been dancing around it in her head, cushioning it with maybes and possibilities, but hearing it said out loud made it real, concrete, terrifying. "Okay," she said quietly. Her throat felt tight. From inside her backpack, Tank's voice emerged, small and determined. "I'm coming too. This is a critical security situation and I need to be present for the interview." Rob's gaze dropped to the backpack, stared. "Did your bag just talk?" "That's Tank," Jade said. She unzipped the bag. Tank's head popped out, his dark eyes assessing Rob with professional intensity, his disproportionately large ears alert. "Robert Kincaid, I presume," Tank said. "Beta to the Silver Pine Pack, second in command to Alpha Axel Thornwood, previously Sergeant-at-Arms for the Night Ridge Motorcycle Club, before the merger in 2019. Clean service record, no disciplinary actions. 3 commendations for—" "How do you know all that?" Rob stared at the tiny Yorkie. "I did my research when you were examining musical instruments at Mira's shop. I used Nick's computer. I wasn't there to eat his half-finished sandwich." Tank paused. "Admittedly, I did eat the sandwich, but only because it was convenient, and I hate waste." "It's a teacup Yorkie," Rob said to Axel, his tone suggesting he was questioning his alpha's sanity. "Former guide dog candidate," Tank corrected, his tone sharp enough to cut. "Current security consultant, and I'll have you know my size has no bearing on my professional capabilities. In fact, my compact frame allows me to access spaces larger animals cannot, providing superior surveillance opportunities." "He watches Sons of Anarchy," Jade said, "and reads Yelp reviews." "I'm thorough. Mind you, the show would have benefited from different narrative choices. Ideally, a romantic comedy version with stronger emotional resolution. Studies show positive media consumption increases serotonin production by up to 40%, leading to improved decision-making and reduced violence in high-stress pack dynamics." Tank sat straighter, his tiny chest puffed with dignity. Rob looked at Axel. "Your life got weird fast." "You have no idea," Axel said. The Tidemark Cove police station occupied a converted house 2 blocks from the harbor. White paint peeling, front porch sagging under the weight of years, American flag hanging limp in the still air. Inside smelled like burnt coffee that had been sitting too long on the burner, and old paper slowly decomposing in cardboard boxes. Chief Chen sat behind a desk that had seen better decades, his reading glasses perched on his nose, reflecting the glow of an ancient computer monitor. He looked up when they entered. Jade, Axel, Rob, and Tank, tucked securely in Jade's backpack, with just his head visible. "Ms. Voss." Chief Chen stood, offering his hand. His grip was firm but gentle, weathered skin rough against her palm. "Thank you for coming in. And you are?" "Axel Thornwood," Axel said. "I was with Jade when the truck exploded." "The Harley," Chief Chen said. Recognition flickered across his weathered face. "Right. Your bike took the initial impact. That's correct. And you? Chief Chen looked at Rob, his gaze sharpening with the instinct of a man who'd spent decades reading people. Rob Kincaid, business associate. Rob's tone was carefully neutral, giving nothing away. Chief Chen gestured toward the chairs facing his desk. Have a seat. This shouldn't take long. Just need to gather some information. Jade sat. The chair was hard, uncomfortable, the vinyl cracked and splitting. Axel took the seat beside her, close enough their shoulders almost touched. His presence was solid, grounding. Rob remained standing, positioning himself near the door with the casual stance of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Now then. Chief Chen pulled out a yellow legal pad, pen poised. The paper was already filled with handwritten notes in cramped script. Ms. Voss, how long have you operated your food truck in Tidemark Cove? 2 years, Jade said. Her voice sounded thin in the small room. Almost exactly. And in that time, have you had any disputes? Disagreements with anyone? Anything that might suggest someone held a grudge? Jade shook her head. No, everyone's been. Nice. Welcoming. Romantic entanglements? Ex-boyfriends? Family conflicts? No boyfriends. No family. The words came out flat. True, but incomplete. Empty spaces where her history should have been. Chief Chen made a note, his pen scratching against paper. The fire investigator found the incendiary device was sophisticated. Not something an amateur could construct. Military-grade components. You have any idea who might have that kind of expertise? No, Jade said. Her palms were sweating. Where were you before Tidemark Cove? The question landed harder than it should have. Jade's throat went tight, her breath shallow. Around. I traveled a lot. Traveled from where? Different places. Her palms were sweating. She pressed them against her jeans, the denim rough and grounding. I moved frequently. Chief Chen studied her for a long moment, his eyes sharp behind his glasses. Then he shifted his attention to Axel. And you, Mr. Thornwood? What brings you to Tidemark Cove? Business expansion, Axel said smoothly. Looking at investment opportunities in the area, in a town of 300 people. Look, I don't mean any disrespect. Axel leaned forward slightly, his voice going cold, professional. But in a town of 300 people, surely you know all the information you asked Jade before we walked in here. I'm more than sure as a traveler I don't have to answer your questions. As a witness to what happened to Jade's truck, I can't see the connection between my business and the incident. We met for the first time this morning, and she backed her truck into my bike. It's not exactly a premeditated accident, is it? The silence stretched. Chief Chen tapped his pen against the legal pad, a rhythm that set Jade's teeth on edge. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in harsh white light. Here's what I think, Chief Chen said finally. I think there's more to this story than either of you are telling me. I think Ms. Voss here is running from something, and whatever it is just caught up to her. And I think you, Mr. Thornwood, are involved somehow. Am I under arrest? Axel's eyes darkened, amber going nearly black. No. He stood. The movement was fluid, controlled, but there was threat in it. Then we're leaving. Chief Chen's jaw tightened, a muscle jumping in his cheek. We're doing our job, Mr. Thornwood. If you don't like our process, you're welcome to leave Tidemark Cove. That's what I just said. Axel's tone could have cut glass. From Jade's backpack, Tank's voice emerged. Actually, the current security protocols for this facility are dangerously inadequate. Single point of egress, no backup power supply, evidence storage in an unlocked room visible from the hallway, and your filing system appears to be wherever there's space. If someone wanted to compromise this investigation, they could do so with minimal effort. Chief Chen stared at the backpack. I'll have to ask you to register your dog and put it on a leash, Ms. Voss. Tank bared his teeth, tiny, sharp, surprisingly vicious-looking, and barked. The sound was high-pitched but aggressive, echoing off the walls. That's his word for "we're leaving," Rob added. He picked Tank up from Jade's bag with surprising gentleness, cradling the small dog against his chest, and walked out the door. Outside, the sun was bright, almost mocking. The air smelled like salt and fish and normalcy, like the world hadn't just tilted sideways, like someone hadn't tried to murder her this morning. Rob waited until they were back at the motel before speaking. That was a waste of time. Worse than waste, Tank said from his new position tucked in Rob's jacket pocket, just his head visible. That station is a security liability. Anyone with basic lockpicking skills could access their evidence room. The chief keeps his computer password on a Post-it note stuck to his monitor. I saw it from Jade's backpack. Of course you did, Rob said. He looked at Axel, his expression grim. We need to get her out of here. This island is a death trap. One road in, one road out. Police department that couldn't secure a lemonade stand. If someone's hunting her, this is the worst possible place to be. I know, Axel said. His jaw was tight. Then let's go. We can be back at the clubhouse by tonight. Actual security, actual resources, actual protection. Axel turned to Jade. He's right. You're not safe here. I can't just leave, Jade said. This is my home, my business, what's left of it. From what I can see, neither of those things exists anymore, Jade. Axel's voice softened slightly. Rob's right. We need backup and proper protection systems. Who would want to kill me? For what? To get my credit card bills? Jade's voice cracked on the last word. We'll find out. But we can't do it here. Axel stepped closer. Come with us, just until we figure this out. I agree. I'm all in, Tank said from the crook of Rob's arm. You're a talking teacup, Yorkie, Rob said, looking down at the small dog. I am highly trained, Tank said, affronted. You're 7 inches tall, Rob pointed out. Size is not indicative of capability, Tank shot back. I have certifications in... Enough. Axel's voice cut through the argument like a blade. He looked at Jade, his amber eyes serious, searching. I won't force you, but Rob's right about one thing. You're vulnerable here. We have resources in the city, security, people who can help figure out who's behind this. Jade looked at the motel, at the small town she'd tried to make home, at the ocean visible in the distance, constant and unchanging and suddenly full of threats she'd thought she'd escaped. 2 years. She'd lasted 2 years here, longer than anywhere else. Okay, she said. The word felt like surrender. Okay, let's go. They moved quickly. Jade had almost nothing to pack, the clothes on her back, the few items in her backpack that Tank hadn't claimed as his territory. Everything else had burned. Another bike had arrived while they'd been at the station. A quiet man Jade assumed was Sam, who nodded once in greeting and said nothing. His eyes were sharp, though, cataloging everything. You'll ride with Sam, Rob said. Boss is riding with Jade on yours. The bikes rumbled to life, the sound aggressive and powerful in the quiet parking lot. Axel handed Jade a helmet. Ever ridden before? No, Jade admitted. Her hands shook slightly as she took it. Hold on tight. Lean with me on turns. Don't fight it. His voice was gentle now, reassuring. You'll be fine. Tank refused to stay in the backpack. He positioned himself inside Jade's jacket, his head poking out near her collar, his tiny body warm against her chest. For aerodynamics, Tank explained, and superior surveillance positioning. They pulled out of the motel parking lot, Rob and Sam in front on their bikes, Axel and Jade behind. The road out of town was empty, quiet. The ocean stretched to their right, vast and blue and indifferent. Waves crashed against the rocky shore in steady rhythm. Jade wrapped her arms around Axel's waist, her chest pressed against his back. The engine vibrated through her entire body, powerful and constant. The wind whipped past, loud and cold and freeing. Tank's small body was a warm weight against her chest, his presence grounding. They rounded the bend toward the causeway, and everything changed. The road ahead disappeared into water. Not the gentle lapping she'd expected, the tide that came in slowly, predictably, twice a day. This was different. Wrong. The causeway was completely submerged under churning, violent water. Waves crashed over the asphalt, white foam and spray rising 6 feet into the air. The current was strong, visible in the way debris, seaweed, driftwood, something that might have been a buoy, swept past at dangerous speeds. Axel's bike slowed, then stopped. Rob and Sam pulled up beside them, engines idling. No, Axel said. His voice was tight. No, that's not... "The tide wasn't supposed to come in for another 2 hours," Rob said. He killed his engine, the sudden silence somehow worse than the noise. "Current's all wrong." Sam spoke for the first time, his voice rough with surprise. Something pushed it in early. "Current's running backwards. That doesn't happen naturally." Jade stared at the water, at the road that should have been their escape route. Gone, claimed by the ocean. The waves rolled and surged, patterns forming that didn't match normal tidal movement. The water was darker here, strange shadows moving beneath the surface. Her chest went tight. Cold spread through her veins. Something moved in the water, a flash of scales catching sunlight, a ripple that wasn't quite wave pattern. The flick of something long and powerful cutting through the current with purpose. "Back to the motel," Axel said. His tone had gone flat, command voice, alpha authority that left no room for discussion. "Now!" They turned around. The bikes rumbled back toward town, back toward the trap they'd tried to leave. The ocean seemed louder now, more aggressive, as if it knew they were stuck. Jade looked over her shoulder as they rode away. The water churned near where the road disappeared. Something breached the surface for just a moment, too far away to see clearly, but close enough to know it was deliberate. A tail, scaled and powerful, sliced through the water before diving deep. Too large for a fish, too purposeful for anything natural. A mermaid tail, or a siren. Jade's blood went cold. Her arms tightened around Axel's waist. They'd found her. After 2 years of running, 2 years of hiding, 2 years of pretending to be human and ordinary and safe, they'd found her. And they'd just cut off her only escape. Chapter 5. The first raindrop hit Axel's visor like a bullet. Then the sky opened up. Rain slammed down in sheets, turning the world gray and violent. The wind hit a second later. Not the steady coastal breeze they'd ridden through minutes ago, but something alive and furious. It screamed across the island, bending trees horizontal, ripping shingles off roofs. "Boss!" Rob's voice barely carried over the wind. Axel leaned into the bike, Jade's arms tight around his waist, her helmet pressed against his back. Tank was a small, warm weight between them, tucked in her jacket. The motel was 2 blocks away, 2 blocks through what had become a wall of water and wind. The bike lurched. Axel fought to keep it upright, his hands white-knuckled on the handlebars. The engine roared, competing with the storm. Water ran in rivers across the asphalt, pulling at the tires. Something was wrong. This wasn't weather. This was intentional. Lightning cracked across the sky. Too close, too bright, the thunder immediate and deafening. The air tasted like ozone and salt and something else, something that made Axel's skin crawl despite his wolf being silent as stone. Another gust hit, stronger, targeted. The bike went sideways. Time slowed. Axel felt the moment the tires lost traction, the sickening slide of metal against wet pavement. Jade's scream cut through the wind, her arms tightened around him. They were going down. Protect her. The thought was instinct, primal. Axel twisted mid-fall, pulling Jade against his chest, angling his body to take the impact. The asphalt rushed up to meet them. The hit drove the air from his lungs. Pain exploded across his shoulder, his hip. The bike scraped away from them, metal shrieking against concrete, but Jade was on top of him, safe, unhurt, for exactly 3 seconds. Then the wind changed. It didn't just blow. It reached down like a hand and grabbed her. Jade's weight lifted off him. Her scream pitched higher, terrified. Axel's hand closed around her wrist, tight, desperate. But the wind was stronger, much stronger. "Jade!" His voice was lost in the roar. She was ripped from his grip. Axel rolled to his feet, ignoring the grinding pain in his shoulder. Rain hammered his face. Wind nearly knocked him back down. Jade tumbled through the air 20 feet above the ground. Her arms flailed, her body spinning like a rag doll in a dryer. The wind tossed her higher, then slammed her sideways. She hit nothing. There was nothing to hit. But the force of it made her body jerk. Tank fell from her jacket, his small body plummeting. "No!" Rob's voice. He was running, diving, catching the tiny Yorkie against his chest before hitting the ground in a roll. But Jade was still airborne, still screaming. The wind played with her, cruel and deliberate, throwing her one direction, then another. She was going to hit the ground. She was going to die. Something in Axel's chest roared. Not him, not his voice, his wolf. The wolf that had been silent for 6 months. The wolf he'd thought was gone forever, lost to whatever darkness had swallowed it after. It surged to the surface like a drowning man breaking for air. Mate. The word exploded through his mind, through his body, through every cell that suddenly remembered what it meant to be whole. His wolf howled, actual sound ripping from Axel's throat, primal and possessive and desperate. Ours. Mate. Save her. Axel ran. His legs moved before his brain caught up, pure instinct driving him forward. The wolf pushed at his skin, wanting out, wanting to shift, wanting to hunt down whatever was stealing their mate and tear it apart. The wind carried Jade higher, east, toward the cliffs, toward the ocean. "Boss!" Rob was on his feet, tank clutched against his chest. "Don't—" Axel didn't stop. Couldn't stop. His wolf wouldn't let him. He reached his bike, miraculously still upright, where it had skidded to a stop. The engine was still running, vibrating against the wet pavement. Axel threw his leg over and gunned it. The bike shot forward. Rain blinded him. Wind tried to push him off the road. He didn't care. His wolf had locked onto Jade's scent, cut through the rain and salt and ozone to find her, and followed it like a beacon. She was ahead, being pulled toward the cliffs, toward the drop that would kill her. The stone house came into view. The abandoned weather station perched on the cliff edge that Jade had wanted to buy. The building was dark, windows broken, paint long since stripped by salt and wind, and beyond it the cliff. The drop. 60 feet of empty air onto rocks that would shatter bone. Jade's body tumbled through the sky, thrown by wind that seemed to have intention. Purpose. She was 50 feet from the cliff edge. 40, 30. Axel's bike screamed in protest as he pushed it harder. The wolf in his chest howled again, rage and fear mixing into something that threatened to tear him apart from the inside. We can't lose her. Not her. Not our mate. 20 feet from the cliff. 10. Jade's body arced up one last time, held suspended for a heartbeat, then dropped, straight toward the rocks below. "No!" The word ripped from Axel's throat, raw and broken. A wave rose from the ocean. Not a normal wave. This was a wall of water, 30 feet high, green-black and furious, that defied physics and gravity. It surged up the cliff face, impossibly fast, and caught Jade mid-fall. The water cradled her, slowed her descent, carried her with surprising gentleness to the soft grass at the cliff's edge, 20 feet from the drop. Then another wave rose, and another. They formed a barrier between Jade and the edge, crashing against invisible resistance. The wind howled, pushing back, lightning splitting the sky in jagged lines. The weather was fighting itself. Ocean against air, water against wind. Two forces, neither of them natural, locked in combat with Jade as the prize. Rob's bike roared up beside Axel's. "What the hell? She's my mate." Axel didn't look at his beta. Couldn't take his eyes off Jade's crumpled form on the grass. "My wolf came back. It claimed her. Boss, we need to— I'm going to her." Axel killed his engine and ran. The wind tried to stop him, actually tried, like something conscious, pushing against his chest, his legs, trying to slow him down. His wolf snarled and pushed through it. Nothing was keeping him from his mate. Nothing. He reached her and dropped to his knees. His hands found her shoulders, her face, checking for breaks, for blood, for— She was breathing. Cuts across her cheek, her arms, bruises already forming. Her helmet was cracked, split down the middle. But she was breathing. "Jade." His voice was rough, barely human. The wolf was too close to the surface, making his words growl. "Jade, open your eyes." Her eyelids fluttered, gray eyes focused on his face, dazed and confused. "Axel?" Relief nearly knocked him over. He pulled her against his chest, one hand cradling her head, the other around her waist. She was solid, real, alive. "I've got you," he said into her hair. "I've got you." Behind them, the storm withdrew. The wind died like someone had flipped a switch. The waves that had been crashing against the cliff settled, retreating back into the ocean with unnatural speed. The rain stopped mid-pour, drops hanging in the air for a moment before falling. Then silence, complete and eerie. Jade pushed back slightly, enough to look at him. Tears tracked through the dirt on her face, mixing with rain and maybe blood. "Your eyes," she whispered. "They're glowing. My wolf came back." The words felt huge, impossible. 6 months of silence, of emptiness, of feeling broken and incomplete. Gone. "Because of you. It came back and it claimed you. You're my mate, Jade." She stared at him. Something flickered across her face. Fear, maybe, or recognition. "That's not possible." "I can feel it. The bond. My wolf won't shut up about it." He cupped her face with both hands, gentle despite the desperation clawing at his chest. "You brought my wolf back." "I can't be your mate." Her voice broke. Fresh tears spilled over. "I'm not a wolf shifter." The statement hung between them, heavy, significant. Axel's wolf went still, listening. "So what are you?" he asked quietly. Jade's eyes went to the ocean, to the waves that had caught her, saved her, fought the wind for her. When she looked back at him, her expression was devastated. "You don't want to know," she whispered. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Out on the water, something moved beneath the surface. Watching, waiting. Axel's wolf growled low in his chest, but he pushed it down. Whatever she was, whoever had just tried to take her, that could wait. She was hurt, exhausted, terrified. He helped her stand, his arm around her waist, taking most of her weight. She swayed against him, her legs unsteady. "That's all right, Jade." His voice was gentle now, the alpha command buried under concern. "You can tell me when you're ready. Now let's get you back to the motel." She nodded against his shoulder, too tired to argue. Rob met them halfway, Tank still cradled in his arms. The Yorkie was shaking, his small body trembling with residual adrenaline. "Is she—" Rob started. "She's okay," Axel said. "Get Sam. We're going back." The ride to the motel was slow, careful. Axel kept one arm around Jade, the other on the handlebars. She leaned against him, her helmet heavy on his shoulder, her breathing evening out into something closer to sleep than consciousness. By the time they reached the motel, Jade was barely conscious. Axel half carried her to his room, the only one with a kitchenette and the closest to the exit. Rob hovered nearby, Tank tucked in his jacket, both of them radiating protective tension. "I'll take first watch," Rob said as Axel laid Jade on the bed. "No." Axel pulled the blanket over her, tucking it around her shoulders. She didn't stir. "Take Sam, get food, bring it back here." "Boss, she's not leaving my sight, but we all need to eat." Rob studied him for a long moment, then nodded. 30 minutes. Take your time. We're not going anywhere." Alone, Axel moved to the window. The storm had cleared completely, leaving the island wet and battered but standing. The ocean was calm now, almost mocking in its tranquility. His wolf paced restlessly, wanting to protect, to guard, to understand what had just happened. Movement caught his eye, a shadow near the tree line, too deliberate to be wind-blown debris, too purposeful to be coincidence. Axel moved without thinking, sliding out the door and into the parking lot. His wolf surged forward, lending him speed and silence. The shadow moved away from the motel, deeper into the trees. He followed. The figure was fast, inhumanly fast, darting between pines with fluid grace. Axel's wolf pushed harder, closing the distance. 20 feet, 15, 10. The figure spun. Silver powder exploded in Axel's face. He stumbled back, his eyes burning like acid, his vision going white. Silver. Actual silver. Weaponized and thrown. His wolf recoiled, whimpering at the pain. Axel heard footsteps closing in. Couldn't see, couldn't defend himself effectively. Then a high-pitched snarl cut through the air. "Hostile detected!" Tank's voice was all fury and no fear. "Engaging threat!" The sound of tiny teeth meeting flesh, and the thud of someone kicking. Unacceptable, Tank barked, more snarling, more cursing. You will not harm my pack. The footsteps retreated, running now. Tank gave chase, his barks growing distant. Tank, back! Rob's voice, sharp with command. The barking stopped. Small paws scrambled back toward Axel. Rob's hands found his shoulders. Boss, can you see? Give me a minute. Axel blinked hard, tears streaming down his face as his body fought to flush the silver. His vision slowly cleared, first shapes, then colors, then details. Rob's concerned face, Tank at his feet, looking proud and furious. The tree line where the figure had disappeared. You all right? Rob asked. Fine. Axel wiped his face with his sleeve, the silver residue coming away in dark streaks. It smelled wrong, sulfur and something organic, rotting. Did you see who it was? Too fast, but Tank got a piece of them. Rob looked down at the Yorkie. Nice work. Standard defensive protocols, Tank said, though his voice was still shaking slightly. When hostile entities deploy chemical weapons, immediate aggressive response is required to... He stopped, sat down hard. That was terrifying. I hate being this small, but I did it. I protected the Alpha. You did, Axel said quietly. He crouched down, eye level with Tank. Thank you. Tank's tail wagged once. You're welcome. Now can we please go back inside where there are walls and doors and fewer shadow people trying to blind you with silver powder? Yeah. Axel stood, his eyes still burning but functional. Let's go back. They returned to the room. Jade was still asleep, her breathing deep and even. She'd rolled onto her side, one hand tucked under her cheek, looking younger and more vulnerable than she had any right to. Axel locked the door, checked the windows, drew the curtains. Rob set bags of food on the small table, whatever Sal's diner had available on short notice. The smell of burgers and fries filled the room. Sam's outside, Rob said quietly. He'll watch the perimeter. Good. Axel moved to the window anyway, looking out through a gap in the curtains. The night had fallen completely now. The island was dark, the streetlights doing little to push back the shadows. But there, in the distance, beyond the town, toward the ocean, Axel heard it. Howling. Not normal wolf howls. These were different. Wrong. They had harmonics that wolves didn't use, notes that made his skin crawl and his own wolf bristle with unease. You hear that? Rob asked. Yeah. Axel's jaw tightened. That's not pack. Then what is it? Axel looked at Jade, still sleeping, still vulnerable. I don't know, but they're here for her. The howling continued, closer now, multiple voices joining in a chorus that shouldn't exist. We need to leave, Rob said. First light, we get her out of here. The causeway. We'll clear with the tide. 6 hours. We pack now, leave at dawn. Axel nodded. It was the smart play. The tactical choice. Get Jade somewhere defensible, somewhere with backup, somewhere that wasn't an island that could be cut off from help. But his wolf didn't want to run. His wolf wanted to stay, to fight, to protect what was his. Outside, the howling grew louder, closer, and somewhere in the darkness, Axel swore he heard something else. Not howling, singing. What the hell is going on? Rob whispered. Axel didn't answer, because he didn't know. But he was going to find out. And nothing, not storms, not shadow figures, not whatever was out there howling, was going to take his mate from him. His wolf growled agreement. The singing continued. The howling answered. And Tidemark Cove held its breath, waiting for whatever came next. Chapter 6. Jade woke to sunlight streaming through cheap motel curtains and the smell of cold coffee. Her body ached. Every muscle screamed protest as she shifted, cataloging injuries, bruised ribs, scraped palms, a cut on her cheek that stung when she moved. The helmet had saved her skull, but everything else had taken the hit. Memory came in fragments, wind, flying, falling, water catching her when she should have died, and Axel. She turned her head slowly, her neck stiff. He was right there, lying on top of the covers beside her, fully dressed, one arm stretched protectively across her waist, even in sleep, His dark hair fell across his forehead. His face was relaxed, younger without the constant tension he carried. A cut above his eyebrow had scabbed over. Silver residue still streaked his jaw. He was beautiful. The thought hit her with unexpected force, not just handsome. She'd known that from the moment he'd walked out of the motel yesterday morning. But beautiful in the way dangerous things were beautiful. Sharp edges and controlled power, and something fierce underneath that made her wolf. No, not her wolf. She didn't have a wolf, but her animal had stirred yesterday. Had responded when he'd said, "My wolf came back. It claimed you. You're my mate." Her breath caught. The memory was vivid, cutting through the haze of exhaustion and pain. His amber eyes glowing, his voice rough with emotion and wolf. Mate. Impossible. "Good morning, Jade." Tank's voice came from across the room. "I trust you slept adequately despite the suboptimal security conditions and threat of supernatural attack." Jade turned her head, carefully, everything hurt, and found Tank sitting on the heating unit beneath the window. He'd positioned himself directly over the vent, his tiny rear end pressed against the warm metal, his front paws stretched out in front of him like he was doing yoga. "Are you sitting on the heater?" Jade's voice was hoarse. "Optimal temperature regulation," Tank said with dignity. "After last night's aquatic assault and subsequent combat engagement, my core temperature dropped 2 degrees below acceptable parameters. I'm implementing thermal recovery protocols." He shifted slightly, clearly enjoying the warmth. "Also, it feels excellent, and I may never move again." Despite everything, the pain, the fear, the impossible situation, Jade smiled. "What happened last night?" she asked quietly. "After the cliff, I remember getting back to the motel, but then—" "Adrenaline crash," Tank said. "You fell asleep approximately 4 minutes after arrival. Alpha Axel has maintained protective position for 7 hours, 43 minutes. He woke twice to check your vital signs and once to eliminate a spider that violated the perimeter." Tank's ears swiveled toward Axel. He also declined food, water, and rest shifts with Beta Rob. Suboptimal self-care, but understandable given mate bond activation. Mate bond. There it was again, that word. "Tank, I need to ask you something." Jade kept her voice low, not wanting to wake Axel. "What's it like, having a mate?" Tank's ears perked forward. "I don't have empirical data on mate bonds. However, based on my research and observations of pack dynamics, it appears to be a profound connection characterized by—" He stopped, studied her face. "Why are you shaking your head?" "Because it's not possible." Jade looked away, focusing on the water-stained ceiling. "I can't be anyone's mate." "That's statistically improbable given—" "I'm broken, Tank." The words came out flat. Final. A creature that can't perform the basic function that defines their entire being isn't really that creature at all. If not broken, then what am I? Silence, the dangerous kind. Then Tank barked, sharp, loud, angry. "Unacceptable!" Axel jerked awake, his hand going for a weapon that wasn't there. His eyes, still that amber glow, found Jade first, scanning for threats. Then Tank. "What's going on?" His voice was rough with sleep and wolf. "Jade is engaging in destructive self-perception again," Tank announced, still furious. "She refuses to accept that she's worthy of affection because of a perceived deficiency that I have repeatedly explained is not—" "Tank," Jade started. "No." Tank stood up, abandoning his warm spot. "You listen to me. You are not broken. You are not deficient. And you are not going to push away someone who clearly cares about you because you've decided you're not good enough. I won't allow it." Axel sat up slowly, his gaze moving between them. "What's this about?" "Jade really likes you," Tank said bluntly. "But she won't let herself be loved because she thinks she's broken. As for what kind of creature she is," he looked at Jade. "That's your story to tell. But you need to tell it, soon. Because secrets are poor security protocols." Tank hopped down from the heating unit and trotted to the door, his tiny legs moving with purpose. "I'm going to conduct a perimeter check. Rob and Sam should be returning with breakfast. Try not to have any emotional breakthroughs without me. I've earned the right to witness them." He scratched at the door. Axel got up and opened it. Tank paused in the doorway. For the record, Alpha Axel, she's worth fighting for, even if she doesn't believe it yet. Then he was gone, leaving silence in his wake. Jade couldn't look at Axel. She sat up slowly, wincing at the protest from her ribs. Are you hurt? He was beside her immediately, his hands gentle as they tilted her face toward the light. More than yesterday? Just sore. Her skin tingled where he touched her. I'm fine. You're not fine. You fell 60 feet. His thumb brushed the cut on her cheek with impossible gentleness. A wave caught you. An impossible wave that defied physics. And then you slept for 8 hours straight while things howled in the dark. Things? Not wolves. Not entirely. His eyes met hers, still glowing, still golden. Whatever they were calling to you. A knock at the door saved her from answering. Axel pulled back, his alpha mask sliding into place. Come in. Rob entered, Sam behind him. Both looked exhausted, eyes shadowed from a night of guard duty. Tank trotted in behind them, heading straight for the food bags Rob carried. Perimeter's clear, Rob said. No activity since about 3 a.m. Whatever was out there pulled back. The tide turned, Sam added. His voice was quiet, measured. Causeway will be passable in an hour. Good. Axel's jaw was tight. We leave as soon as it's clear. Actually, Tank had his head buried in one of the food bags. His voice came out muffled. We have a slight delay. Maggie intercepted me outside. She's prepared breakfast provisions and insists on delivering them personally. Also, Mira has something for Jade at the music shop. As if summoned, another knock sounded, more insistent. That'll be Maggie, Tank said. She's very punctual, and she made bacon. Real bacon, not the mystery meat. I've already conducted quality control testing. You ate Maggie's bacon? Rob asked. Quality control is a vital security function, Tank said with dignity. Axel opened the door. Maggie stood there holding containers that smelled like heaven. Eggs, bacon, fresh biscuits. Her face was tight with worry. Oh, honey. She pushed into the room, heading straight for Jade. Are you all right? The whole town's talking about the storm, worst anyone's seen in 30 years. Trees down, power lines sparking, and you were out in it? I'm okay, Maggie. Jade accepted the containers, the warmth seeping through the plastic. Thank you for this. It's the least I can do. Maggie's hand squeezed Jade's shoulder. Mira's at the shop. She tried to leave last night but couldn't get past the storm. She's got something for you. We'll stop by, Axel said. His tone made it clear they wouldn't be staying long. Maggie looked at him, then at Jade, then back to him. Something knowing passed across her face. You take care of our girl, Mr. Thornwood. I will, Axel said. It sounded like a vow. After Maggie left, they ate quickly. Tank positioned himself strategically between all the food sources, conducting what he called nutritional security assessments, which mostly involved stealing bacon when no one was looking. 30 minutes later, they were on the bikes. The morning was clear, almost aggressively sunny, like the storm had been a fever dream, like yesterday hadn't happened. But Jade's body remembered, and the ocean seemed darker than it should be, the waves carrying patterns that made her skin crawl. Coastal Notes looked the same as always. Windows displaying guitars and vintage vinyl, the open sign hanging crooked in the door. But something felt wrong. They parked. Axel helped her off the bike, his hand lingering on her waist. Tank rode in his new preferred position, Rob's jacket, head poking out like a furry periscope. I don't like this, Tank muttered. Too quiet. Where are the morning customers? Mrs. Patterson usually stops by at 9:15 for sheet music. It's 9:23. It's fine, Jade said. But she moved closer to Axel anyway. The bell chimed as they entered. The interior smelled like wood polish and something else. Something metallic. Wrong. Mira? Jade called. Back here! Mira's voice came from the rear of the shop. Just finishing up. Come on back. They moved through the narrow aisles. Guitars hung on the walls like sleeping sentinels. The vintage vinyl section was perfectly organized, alphabetically arranged. Too perfect. Mira never organized the vinyl. She said chaos was part of the aesthetic. Tank stiffened in Rob's jacket. A man emerged from the side hallway. Tall, lean, with dark hair and eyes that were too bright. Too aware. He smiled at Mira. "Thanks again for letting me crash here," he said. His voice was smooth, pleasant. "Storm caught me by surprise." "Of course, Connor." Mira waved from behind the counter. "Thanks for fixing my computer system. That virus was killing me." "Connor." The name meant nothing to Jade. The man moved toward the door, heading for his car visible through the window. He passed within 3 feet of them. Tank exploded. Not barking, screaming. A sound Jade had never heard from him. Pure rage and recognition and fury. "Hostile! Hostile identified! That's him!" Tank launched himself from Rob's jacket, hitting the ground running. His tiny legs churned as he charged the man, all 7 inches of furious Yorkie focused on one target. "Tank, stop!" Jade lunged for him, but Tank was faster. He reached the man, Connor, and his teeth found purchase, tearing through jeans and into calf muscle. Connor swore and kicked. Tank held on. "Silver powder!" Tank's voice was muffled by fabric and flesh, but unmistakable. "You attacked Alpha Axel! You violated security protocols!" Connor tried to shake him off. Tank's jaws locked tighter. With a vicious yank, he tore away a piece of sleeve. Fresh bite marks covered Connor's forearm. Small, precise, teacup, Yorkie-sized. From last night. Everything happened at once. Connor's pleasant mask shattered. His eyes went cold. Calculating. His hand shot out, impossibly fast, and grabbed Tank by the scruff. "One wrong move," Connor said softly, "and I'll snap this teacup's neck." Tank dangled from his grip, still snarling, still fighting. Axel moved. Rob moved. Sam's hand went for something under his jacket. "Don't." Connor's other hand positioned around Tank's small body. "One twist. That's all it would take." "I came for her. That's all. Give me the siren and the dog lives." The word hung in the air. Siren. Jade's secret, spoken aloud by a stranger holding Tank hostage. Chapter 7. "I'm not a siren." Connor's grip on Tank tightened, but confusion flickered across his face. His fingers pressed harder against Tank's small body, making the Yorkie yelp. "What?" Connor's voice came out sharp, disbelieving. "I'm not a siren," Jade repeated. Her voice was steady despite the terror clawing at her throat, despite the way her hands shook at her sides. "But I'll go with you anyway, if you let Tank go." Connor's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightened. "You're lying. They're hunting you. They know what you are." "If I were a siren, I would have already used my call to make you put him down." Jade took a step forward, her hands raised, palms out, non-threatening. The floor creaked under her weight. "I would have made you walk into the ocean. I would have destroyed you. But I can't. Because I'm not what you think I am." Connor hesitated. His grip on Tank loosened fractionally, just enough for Tank to draw a full breath. "You're playing tricks," Connor said. "I'm not." Another step, slow, careful. Her sneakers were silent on the hardwood. "Let him go and I'll come with you. No fight, no tricks, just let the dog go." Behind her, movement, silent, predatory. Axel moved like a shadow, Rob and Sam flanking him, creating a semicircle, cutting off escape routes. The air shifted with their presence, tension building like a storm about to break. "Stay back!" Connor yanked Tank up, his hand positioned around the tiny neck. One twist. That's all it would take. "I'll kill him!" Axel stopped. His hands were up, palms out. But his eyes, golden and wolf, were locked on Connor with lethal focus. The glow intensified, amber bleeding into his irises until they looked inhuman. "You're outnumbered, surrounded. Even if you hurt him, you won't make it out of here alive." "I'm working for the sirens." Connor's voice had gone cold, factual. "You might not know what that means, but I'm sure she does." Jade's blood went colder. "Did you set my truck on fire?" "It was a mistake." Connor shifted his weight, Tank dangling from his grip. "Just meant to sabotage your kitchen, make you vulnerable, force you to leave the island." "Let's make a deal." Axel's voice went flat. Alpha command that made the air vibrate. "Put the dog down and leave. We won't stop you. We won't follow you. We won't hurt you. That's an Alpha's promise." Connor laughed, bitter, sharp. "If I don't agree?" Axel's eyes flashed brighter. His wolf pushed at his skin, visible in the tension of his jaw, the slight elongation of his canines. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "If you take my mate, you won't get off this island alive." Alpha's promise. The threat hung in the air. Absolute. Final. Connor's hand trembled slightly around Tank. The Yorkie squirmed, trying to bite, trying to escape, his small body twisted with surprising strength. "You can't hold on to a struggling dog forever," Rob said, taking a step closer. The floor creaked under his boot. "Your arm's getting tired. He's small, but he's fierce. And the second you loosen your grip—" "I have superior core strength," Tank announced, still wriggling. His voice was muffled but determined. "And exceptional bite force for my size. Also, your hand smells like cheap soap and poor life choices." "Shut up," Connor hissed. "I will not shut up. I am a professionally trained security consultant. If I can't protect my human, I won't be a liability. But I won't go down easily. Watch out for your sensitive areas." Connor squeezed. Tank's yelp cut off with a choked sound. Jade didn't think. Couldn't think. Her foot connected with a loose stone on the floor, one of those decorative rocks Mira kept by the vintage vinyl section. It skittered across the hardwood with a hollow tick-tick-tick sound. Blind luck, pure chance, impossible odds. The stone hit Connor directly in the groin. He doubled over with a choked, agonized sound. His grip loosened. Tank twisted, all fury and teeth, and his jaws found Connor's ear. The scream was gratifying, high-pitched, genuinely pained. Tank hit the ground running, his tiny legs churned, nails clicking against hardwood as he bolted toward Jade. He scrambled up her leg, her waist, into her arms, where he pressed against her chest, shaking but alive. "I bit his ear," Tank announced, his voice muffled against her shirt. His small body vibrated with adrenaline. Standard Defensive Protocol Section 7, Subsection 4, when hostile engagement protocols fail, target sensitive areas. Rob and Sam moved as one. They had Connor on the ground in seconds, face first, arms wrenched behind his back with brutal efficiency. Sam's knee pressed between his shoulder blades. Rob's hand found pressure points that made Connor go still, gasping. "Got him," Rob said. His voice was flat, professional. Axel was beside Jade immediately. His hands found her shoulders, her face, checking for injuries even though she hadn't been the one grabbed. His touch was gentle despite the violence still humming in his body. Then his attention shifted to Tank. "You're tough for a teacup," Axel said. Tank's head popped up, his eyes indignant. His ears swiveled forward in offense. "I am not a teacup. I am a Yorkie. There is a distinction. My breeding classification is irrelevant to my professional capabilities, and I would appreciate—" "Boss!" Rob's shout cut through Tank's rant. They turned. Connor was convulsing. His body arched off the floor, muscles spasming violently. Foam flecked his lips, white against his pale skin. His eyes rolled back, showing only whites. "What the—" Sam tried to hold him still, but Connor's seizure was violent, uncontrolled. His limbs jerked against the restraints. Then he went limp, completely, utterly, dead. The silence was deafening. Even the ambient sounds of the shop, the old building settling, the distant ocean, seemed to stop. Jade moved closer, still clutching Tank against her chest. She knelt beside Connor's body, her professional curiosity overriding her fear. She'd seen death before, but not like this. His lips were turning blue. Black veins spread from his neck, visible beneath his skin like a spider web. Dark lines branching out like cracks in porcelain. And the smell, bitter almonds mixed with rotting kelp, sharp and wrong in her nose. "Poison," she whispered. Her stomach turned. "Toxin from the Phoenix clan." "The what?" Axel crouched beside her, his hand finding the small of her back. Grounding. "Siren assassins." Jade couldn't look away from the body. The black veins were still spreading, even in death. They used toxins derived from deep-sea creatures. This one— She pointed at the black veins with a shaking hand. "This is a fail-safe. If the mission fails, the operative dies. Can't be interrogated, can't reveal anything. Jesus, Rob muttered. We need to get you out of here. Axel stood, pulling Jade up with him. His grip was firm, urgent. Now, before more of them come. The causeway. Should be dry by now. Axel's hand found hers, gripped tight. His skin was warm against her cold fingers. We get you to the mainland, to territory I control, where I can protect you. They ran. Mira shouted something behind them. Questions, confusion, fear. But there was no time to explain. No time to apologize. No time for anything except escape. The bikes roared to life, engines splitting the morning quiet. Jade climbed on behind Axel, her arms around his waist, tank pressed between them like a small, furry heartbeat. Rob and Sam were on the other bike, engines screaming at full throttle. They tore through Tidemark Cove at speeds that would have gotten them arrested anywhere else. The wind whipped past, cold and sharp, but the streets were empty. The island felt abandoned, like everyone had sensed the danger and hidden. The causeway came into view, dry, completely exposed. The tide was out, the road clear, salvation just 100 yards of asphalt away. They hit it at full speed. Halfway across, the ocean rose. Not a wave, a wall of water, 30 feet high, green-black and furious, that came from nowhere with impossible speed. The sound was deafening, like thunder made liquid. It slammed into them sideways. Jade felt the bike go out from under her, felt herself flying through air that had turned to water. Felt the cold shock of the ocean closing over her head, stealing her breath, her scream. She hit the surface and sank. The ocean was dark, murky. Salt burned her eyes, her nose, her throat. She kicked for the surface, her lungs already screaming for air. Her clothes weighed her down, heavy and dragging. Shapes moved in the water around her. Not fish, not natural. Sirens. They circled at a distance, their forms humanoid but wrong, too graceful, too fluid, scales visible along their arms and throats, catching what little light filtered down. Their eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, bioluminescent and eerie, watching, waiting, coming for her. But they looked, scared. They kept a cautious distance, like they were afraid to get too close. Like she was the threat, not them. That made no sense. Movement behind her. Jade spun, water churning. Axel. He'd jumped in after her, was swimming toward her with powerful strokes. His dark hair plastered to his head, his eyes still glowing gold even underwater. No, he needed to get out. Get to safety. She pushed at him, trying to shove him toward the surface. But he wouldn't go. Stubborn alpha. His hands found her waist, pulling her close, trying to protect her even when drowning. The sirens scattered, swimming away in panic, their tails flashing silver as they fled. Why were they? A sound cut through the water. Deep, resonant, wrong. It made Jade's bones vibrate, her teeth ache, her very soul recoil. She turned and her blood froze, the sea witch. She rose from the depths like a nightmare made flesh, beautiful and terrible, her upper body human and perfect, flawless skin and flowing hair. But her lower body was a mass of writhing tentacles that churned the water into foam, each appendage thick as a tree trunk and lined with suckers that looked like mouths. Her hair floated around her like living shadow, moving independent of the current. Her eyes were black pits that swallowed light, that promised oblivion. And she was smiling. One tentacle shot out, impossibly fast, and wrapped around Axel. Then another, then a third. They coiled around his chest, his arms, his throat. Pulled him away from Jade with brutal efficiency, his body jerking through the water like a puppet. He fought. His wolf was in his eyes, trying to shift, but underwater, drowning, there was no time. The witch pulled him down, deeper, away from air and light and life, into darkness that felt infinite. Little runaway Jade. The witch's voice was crystal clear despite the water. Magic. Old magic that made the ocean itself tremble. I told you that you'd never escape me. Another tentacle swept out, creating a current that pushed Rob and Sam away. They tumbled through the water like leaves in a storm, swept back toward shore by forces they couldn't fight. Axel couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. His eyes found Jade's, and she saw the exact moment he started to drown. The moment his lungs gave up fighting, the moment his body went slack. "I'll go with you!" Jade's scream came out garbled, desperate, bubbles streaming from her mouth. "Back to the sea. Whatever you want. He has nothing to do with this." "Oh, he has everything to do with it." The witch's smile widened, showing too many teeth. Her tentacles squeezed tighter around Axel. His struggles were weakening, his movements becoming sluggish. "He's your fated mate, and because of that, he must die." "Why?" Jade swam closer, begging, bargaining, buying time. "Why does he have to die?" The witch didn't answer. She was withdrawing, pulling Axel deeper into darkness. His eyes were closing. His movements had stopped. The golden glow was fading from his eyes. He was dying, right in front of her, and she couldn't. Something in Jade's chest broke. Not shattered, not cracked, opened. Like a dam bursting, like a door slamming wide, like something locked away for 2 years, suddenly remembering it could be free. Her voice rose from depths she'd forgotten existed. Not speaking. Not singing. Calling. The sound was impossible. Crystal and chaos, beauty and command, everything she was supposed to be, but more. It carried through the water like thunder, like light, like power itself given form. The ocean vibrated with it, the water itself becoming an instrument for her voice. "Release him!" The words weren't human, weren't quite siren either. They were command, pure, absolute, undeniable. "Release my mate, right now. You heard my voice, you heard my calling. I am the princess of the deep sea, and you are a traitor." The sea witch screamed. Her tentacles spasmed, released Axel. His body drifted free, limp and still. Her beautiful face contorted in agony. Black cracks spread across her skin like porcelain shattering, like ice breaking. "No!" The witch's scream was rage and disbelief and terror. The curse! How is this possible? Her body started to disintegrate, flaking away like ash in water, particles dissolving into the current. The tentacles dissolved first, unraveling into nothing. Then her torso, her arms, her perfect face. How? The word was barely audible, bubbles and sound mixing. The witch's eyes, still black, still terrible, locked on Jade. "You gave up your voice. The bargain was made. You can't—" From behind the witch, the water brightened. Not daylight. Something else. Something that made the ocean itself glow, made the very water sing. A figure rose from the depths, beautiful like sunlight, terrible like the tide. Her tail was luminescent, scales shifting through every color the ocean held, sapphire, emerald, pearl, gold. Her hair floated like silk, pure white threaded with silver. Her face was kind and fierce and heartbreaking. Jade's mother, queen of the deep seas. "That's the power of the mate bond," the queen said. Her words carried weight that made the water tremble, made reality itself bend. "The power you never understood. Killing her mate didn't break Jade forever. It brought her voice back. And now your curse is broken. Along with the prison you built to keep my people, impossible." The witch's eyes went wide, then empty, then gone. Her remains dissolved into the water, leaving nothing behind but the fading echo of her scream and particles that sparkled before vanishing. Jade didn't wait. She dove for Axel, grabbed him, kicked for the surface with everything she had. Her legs, still human, why weren't they a tail? Pumped desperately. Her muscles burned, her lungs screamed. They broke the surface. The causeway was suddenly dry again, the water receding like it had never risen, like the ocean had simply changed its mind. Jade dragged Axel onto the asphalt, her hands finding his chest, checking for breath, for heartbeat, for life. Nothing. No, 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 no. Her hands pressed against his chest. CPR. She knew CPR. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Repeat. "Come on, Axel. Come on." His chest didn't move. His skin was cold. His lips were blue. "Jade." Her mother's voice. Jade looked up, tears streaming down her face. The Queen floated in the shallow water at the causeway's edge, close enough to touch but impossibly far. She was even more beautiful than Jade remembered, and so much sadder. "That's not how the Princess of the Seas brings her mate back to life," the Queen said gently. "He's not dead." Jade's voice broke. "He can't be dead." "No, but you will need to bring him back from wherever he is." "How? Not CPR, apparently." Then it dawned on her. The song she wrote, "The Love of the Seas." The fairy tales she'd penned in notebooks she'd thought were just fiction. She looked at him, beautiful, sleeping, like a prince in a story waiting for true love's kiss. She leaned down and kissed him. In her mind, her mermaid voice returned, humming a love song, the melody she'd written in secret, the words she'd never dared speak aloud. "My mate, I now claim you as my soulmate. I claim your heart, your soul, you're mine forever, as I am yours." His chest heaved, water expelled from his lungs in violent coughs that racked his body. His eyes flew open, gold and confused and alive. "Thank you," Jade whispered to her mother. She looked at her human legs, at her very human body. "But I don't have a tail anymore. I can't return to my mermaid form. My mermaid form is broken." "No, you are not broken, Jade. You chose legs over fishtail. That's a strategic decision that is more sustainable." "Tank!" Jade looked around wildly and found him on the dry causeway, shaking water from his fur with vigorous determination. The Queen smiled, actually smiled. "A talking dog. How delightful! I understand now why you chose land over seas. The dog is right, though. You are not broken. You made a sacrifice to save your father. You fulfilled your duty to the court, and now you've chosen the human form." "Mother. Live well, daughter. This isn't a farewell." The Queen's voice was warm, loving. "Your home is here, but you can visit us whenever you want." "Can I visit too?" Tank asked. He sat at attention, dripping but dignified. "Of course. You are welcome in my court." The Queen looked at Axel, now sitting up and regaining his bearings, coughing water and gasping for air. "Treat my daughter well, protect her always, and she will protect you back. That's who she is." "I promise," Axel managed, his voice rough and scraped raw. Then the Queen was gone, sinking beneath the surface, leaving only ripples that sparkled like diamonds before fading. Axel looked at Jade, at Tank, at the ocean where a witch had just died, and a queen had just disappeared. "A mermaid," he said slowly. "Yes, Axel. My mate is a mermaid." "Apparently." Jade helped him sit up fully, her hands gentle on his shoulders. "You saved me once. I saved you now. We're even." "You're keeping score?" Axel said. Then he started laughing. Actually laughing, rough and exhausted and maybe slightly hysterical. "I came to this island to hide from my pack because my wolf was gone. Now my wolf's back, I have a mermaid mate, and I just got drowned by a sea witch. Also, your Harley is still damaged," Tank added helpfully, still shaking water from his fur. "And you've been poisoned with silver powder. And there are probably more siren mercenaries looking for Jade. Your security situation is terrible." "Tank," Jade said. "I'm just being thorough." Rob and Sam staggered up, soaking wet, both looking like they'd fought the ocean and lost. Rob's gaze went to Jade, then to Axel, then back to Jade. "So," Rob said, "mermaid?" "Mermaid," Jade confirmed. "Cool." Rob sat down hard on the asphalt with a wet squelch. "Cool, cool, cool. That's fine. Totally normal. My alpha's mate is a mermaid, with human legs. Why not?" Axel pulled Jade against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, fast but strong. Alive. Alive. "My mermaid with human legs," he said into her hair. "You better not complain about my legs," she said. "Never. But I'll have to check them out thoroughly. Tonight, for security reasons." Tank snorted. "I will not be there. Save my eyes. I'm going with Rob." He trotted toward Rob, leaving wet paw prints across the asphalt. Rob has better boundaries regarding appropriate workplace conduct. Rob caught Tank as the tiny dog jumped into his arms. "You did good, buddy." "I know," Tank said, "but someone should probably document this for the security report. I bit 2 hostiles today. That's a personal record." Jade leaned into Axel's warmth, watched Tank settle into Rob's jacket, and felt something in her chest finally settle. She was home. Both places, land and sea. And she had a mate who'd drowned for her. A talking Yorkie who'd bitten a mercenary's ear off. And a pack that accepted mermaids with human legs. Life was very, very strange. And for the first time in 2 years, she wouldn't want it any other way. And that's where we'll leave Jade, Axel, and Tank, with a studio full of dreams, a mate bond that broke a sea witch's curse, and a teacup Yorkie, who's absolutely terrible at music composition but will never admit it. If you love this story, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Who was your favorite character? Team Axel, Team Jade, or Team Tank? I'm betting Tank has a strong showing. Want more heartwarming shifter romances with fated mates and talking sidekicks? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new story. DN Leo drops fresh audiobooks every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Ready for the bonus chapter? Equal Partners picks up 3 months later with Jade's first recording session, Tank's hilariously awful music composition, and Axel's surprise that'll make you cry happy tears. Grab it absolutely free at happynovels.com. Link is in the description and pinned in the first comment. And if you want the premium, ad-free, and offline version of the complete story, you can support the channel by sponsoring it. All links are below. Got a story idea? Drop it in the comments. Your favorite tropes, dream meet cutes, or sidekick suggestions. DN Leo reads them all, and your idea could be the next story on this channel. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Until then, may your mate bonds be strong, your sidekicks be hilarious, and your motorcycles be safely parked.